Well, hello there. My name's Jeremy and welcome back one more time to Freeform Disney. Now today we're going to be talking about the movie Godmothered and the really good movie that I think was lurking within it. But first, before I go too much further, let me go ahead and thank my newest patron once again, Fred Richards. Thank you so much for going ahead and supporting me and the channel over on Patreon. Definitely means a lot, and that's why I love going ahead and giving these shout outs to each of my new patrons. Thank you, thank you. And hey, now on to Godmothered. Quick background first, and yes, let me say there are tons of spoilers in this video. Kinda goes with the territory. Now, Godmothered is a new Christmas-ish movie over on Disney+. The main character is Eleanor, who is a fairy godmother in training, but apparently people have stopped believing in fairy godmothers, which means I guess everybody's gonna be mothballed and they're gonna be turned into tooth fairies or something. So, well, she really wants to be a fairy godmother, so she goes rogue to have a chance at finally being a real one. And, well, you can guess she is going to go ahead and save the whole fairy godmother world and whatnot in the course of this because, hey, that's how things go. Can't have a small story. Big stakes. Well, she ends up finding a 40-year-old single mother in Mackenzie, who's the other star of the movie, who, well, was actually originally thought by our fairy godmother in training to be a 10-year-old from the letter she originally sent, but well, she kind of got there 30 years too late. So Mackenzie is all grown up and with kids, single mother, etc. Husband died tragically not that long ago. Yeah. Eek. So from here on out in the movie, it's time to get Mackenzie to believe in happily ever after again. Hijinks ensue, some expected jokes about Eleanor not fitting in or not understanding the modern world, trying to get the true love to happen. Also, then you've got to have Mackenzie going ahead and being cliche resistant to everything until she eventually comes around at the end, etc. You get the idea. Now, while I say that this movie had a lot going for it, I did watch the entire movie and I found it enjoyable enough. It even has a really nice and unique ending. But, sadly, it's also an ending that the movie didn't earn. And so it actually rings a little false, which is really sad considering how nice and unique an ending it is. Really, to me, it felt like there were two movies fighting for dominance here. Or maybe just a movie that went through a few drafts and pulled back from making the more interesting and compelling choices to instead play what was considered to be more safe and cliche. Now, I'm not sure which of those happened or how much studio interference is to blame or who knows what the heck led to the end product we got. But I felt I could see a much better movie hiding in there. Well, let me go ahead and start out by talking about some of the things I thought really didn't work and either could just be cut or improved to bring out that other movie. So first off, the workplace stuff in this movie, oh man, utterly absurd, way too far past the line and horrible. These were the cliche, way past the line jokes. Now, frankly, it broke me out of the movie numerous times. And what's more, it should have been a more serious workplace because that would have contrasted with our fairy godmother, who was such a fish out of water. And it really didn't add anything to the movie to me. It really was the idea, hey, we'll toss this in for comedy, more comic relief, and if you're gonna get that, find a better, more organic way to do it rather than these really badly forced humor. So go in my opinion. And there were other connected things that were like that too. Just some of the absurdities, like the citywide power outage, which why? Did you think that was funny enough to toss it in there? Now, hey, let me say, before I go too much further here, maybe you are someone who loved these pieces, and that is perfectly fine. Let me just make sure to put that out there. I don't have any problem with you for liking anything I don't like, but I didn't. Anyway, yeah, you get the idea. Oh, and one oddity here too. There's Mackenzie's sister, who is a character in this movie, but she was really oddly tacked on in this movie, it felt. You could have taken her character out and you wouldn't have really lost anything. So she never really fit in and always seemed like a third wheel. And to be honest, I'm not sure why she was there as a character. It was nice to have another character, I guess, but only if she had been developed and had a purpose for existing. Maybe that's another issue of that whole two different movies fighting each other that just never quite developed and got there. I don't know, hard to say. Okay, so let us talk about this. So the ending of the movie really made me wonder where the movie that earned that ending was hiding. Because all of a sudden at the end of the movie, the mother has confidence in her daughter. And by the way, mere minutes ago in the movie, she was still deferring to the fairy godmother as the only one who had confidence in her daughter. And there was no character development between these 2 points to justify this huge change. It just wasn't there. Back to my comment about just not having earned that ending. And then also the story about true love being whatever kind of love, which is a great message at the end. A really cool thing to get to, whether it be familial, friendship, etc. Great message, but unearned. Our fairy godmother at the end of the movie? Well, in training, I guess now she is one, but point being, she acted like that was the lesson that she had learned from the course of this movie. But the problem was it was only introduced to the movie mere minutes earlier by the mother, whose moment was also unearned. So while this is a great message at the end, you gotta get there. You gotta justify getting to that point. And oh, I wish it had. I wish it had done so. So the piece about the mother-daughter relationship, that should have been the utter core of this movie. As it was, it felt like the B story until the end of the movie, at which point it kind of became the A story. But too much of the time it wasn't. But oh man, it's a case of the mother has given up on happily ever after she lost her happily ever after when her husband died, right? Therefore, she can't see it in herself or for her children either. And that really was the core and the heart of this movie. And that needed to be the driving force. That was the point. Heck, there were some things that could have been done really well, I think. So, for instance, the fairy godmother. We had some interesting tricks with her powers, right? Intriguingly enough, the mother quickly enough believed her powers were real. Thank goodness for that. That's an odd thing that happens sometimes, especially when you see real magic. It's like, you're probably gonna believe it, so that's good. But now she found out it was real and then just wants to get rid of the fairy godmother in training all the bloody time. That's not quite so real. You got somebody who can do magic, you've seen it. You don't want to take advantage of that? Now, we never dealt with that. Heck, why wouldn't Mackenzie just be like, hey, make me tons of money, or objects that can be sold for money? Hey, thank you, I'm rich now, I'm quitting the job I hate and I'm living in paradise. Boom, done. Now, I do think there was a relatively easy way to go ahead and actually handle this. A couple of things. Multiple choices. First off, our fairy godmother in training was certainly inexperienced and not fully trained, so we could give her limits. Maybe it would tire her out super quickly and that would be a problem. Or maybe she was unwilling to just give the mother money or objects like that, because after all, she was convinced she needed to bring the mother true love, and that was the only point. And that would be a great point of tension to really go at that. And I think that would have worked really well in there, because it also would have given you this piece about, hey, money is not happily ever after, true love is. And we have this whole fight of that. Of course, then the whole point is to develop to what true love really is. And that could have been really nice right there. And that would have handled a weird little issue. Now, that other piece about the mother and believing in true love and getting there. You could have had the fairy godmother not be enough for Mackenzie, because after all, Mackenzie had already seen everything go to shit when her husband unexpectedly died in a car crash. And why does that work? Well, therefore, anything our fairy godmother in training did would seem fleeting and unsustainable as soon as she left. As soon as there was no more magic to keep doing things. And that right there should have been why she ultimately couldn't fix the problem in a conventional sense. And if we had done all these things, then we wouldn't have wasted so much time with the workplace that was a useless dead end, wouldn't have wasted so much time probably with the true love in the wrong way. We would have certainly gone at that, but that would have been the whole controversy there. For joint say money and true love, we would have had the core piece of that mother-daughter relationship really be important here, and we probably would have seen more of the issue. We probably would have had more of the daughter talking to the fairy godmother in training, really getting that point across and seeing how we need to get the mother actually back. And then we really need to get to that point of justifying that end and getting the mother, Mackenzie, to go ahead and be able to believe in happily ever after again. And how does she do it? It's because of her kid. Because of her kid who, well, she starts to believe in her. And that's what gets her to believing in the happily ever after. It's not anything else, it's believing in her kid. And that is slowly developing over time, even as much as she is resisting it because of the worries about things going horrible. And ultimately, the point is that it's not really even our fairy godmother in training. Sure, she might have helped out, greased the wheels here or there, but who actually got Mackenzie, the mother, to go ahead and believe in true love, believe in happily ever afters again? The daughter. that would be the actual answer right there. Well, anyway, I've certainly talked enough on that. You get the idea for some of my general pieces of where I think the movie could have definitely improved, and oh, what a good movie I think it could have been. Oh, by the way, random note, I thought the raccoon was fun, and the pig too, at least to a degree. Sometimes they went overboard, but yeah, love the little raccoon. Well, anyway, there you have it. I thought there was a much better movie wanting to come out, and I'm so sad that's not the movie we got. But hey, at least it was enjoyable enough the first time around. And I can't always say that for Christmas movies, so hey, yeah, I'll take that at least. And with that, what about you? Have you seen Godmothered? And did you love it? Did you hate it? Or did you end up somewhere in between like I did? Let me know down below in the comments. And let me also take a moment again to thank all of my wonderful patrons. If you are interested in helping support the channel through Patreon, there's always a link down below in that description. You can feel free to check it out, and I would love having you on board. And hey, to everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like, give it a share, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you back here tomorrow for another new episode of Freeform Disney. Have a magical day, and may the force be with you always.